Hey guys, and welcome to my first video of 2019. So I decided to kick it off with a small sewing project. This project is based on a quilted Kindle cover, but you can actually use this design for an iPad or a tablet. You simply just have to make adjustments to the measurements and off you go. So to make this, you're going to need a cutting mat, a ruler, fabric lining, binding, pins, a rotary cutter, fabric scissors, measuring tape, a Kindle, iPad or tablet, some sticky velcro and some wadding, preferably 4 ounce. To start, you're going to want to lay out your fabric on top of your mat, and then you're going to take your Kindle and just measure the length and the width, and maybe write this down just so you don't forget. So now, using your ruler, you're going to measure the width that you need, but remember, you're going to want to leave some seam allowance and also maybe a little bit more just for when you put the wadding in. It's going to kind of shrink up your fabric a little bit. Using the selvage edge of your fabric, you're going to use it as a guide using your ruler just to keep it straight. So now, once you have it straight, cut along the ruler with your rotary cutter, and that'll have your first side cut out. So now you're going to want to remove that selvage edge. So again, use your ruler as a guide and keep along the straight line. Now that you have your width done, you're going to want to cut your length. So again, use the straight edge of your fabric as a guide, and then place your ruler down, and this will ensure that all sides are straight. But if you don't like this method, that's fine. You can actually make a pattern out of paper and then just simply cut out your fabric from there. So once you've done that, now you've got your outer fabric, so you're going to want to repeat this step for your lining. So taking your wadding, you're going to place your fabric on top of it and just roughly cut it out. So next, you're going to want to pin your fabric to the wadding, and this will just avoid movement while you're quilting it. So starting from any of the corners, you're going to want to sew straight down at an angle, and this is going to be your starting point for your quilting. You can do it as long or short as you want. So taking some chalk and your ruler, you're going to want to mark in the next few lines, and you can choose the distance between them. For my one, I actually done approximately 2 inches, but again, it's all up to you how wide and big you want your quilts to be. Again, use the lines on your ruler as a guide. So once all your lines are drawn in, you can go ahead and just sew straight down through them. So to make it more fun, you could actually use a contrasting coloured thread, and this will make your quilt stand out even more. I went with a yellow to match the binding. So once all that quilting is done, you're going to want to go back in with your ruler and your chalk and start drawing in the lines going the opposite direction. So once you're done that, you can just go ahead and sew them the same as before. When your quilting is done, you can go ahead then and cut off the excess wadding. And now you have your quilted front. So place your lining down on the other side of your wadding and pin them together. And now you'll want to sew 1 centimetre seam the whole way around. So once the sewing is done, just trim approximately 1/2 centimetre off the edge, and this will just make it easier to bind later on. Okay, so taking your binding, you're going to want to pin it to the top corner of on the lining side, and then sew about 1/2 centimetre across. When the binding is sewn, just fold it over to the front and then sew as close to the edge as you possibly can. So when you're done, just cut off the remaining of the binding. Okay, so using your Kindle, you're going to want to put it down and decide where you want your pouch to start. So when you've decided on that, just pin it down just so that you can bind the rest of it, because you're going to bind them together. Okay, so now you're going to put the rest of the binding onto your cover. Okay, so start by pinning the binding at the corner and leave about 1/2 centimetre excess on the end because you're going to need this later. So again, so 1/2 centimetre the whole way around, but make sure that you stop 3 to 4 centimetres from the bottom because it's a corner, so you're going to have to do a different technique to make sure that you get your binding the whole way around. So when you've sewn that, then you're going to fold your binding over to the other side. So taking that extra piece at the bottom that you had left, you're going to want to fold that up and then fold the binding over it. And this will just hide that raw edge and keep it nice and clean. So now, like as before, you're going to sew as close to the edge as possible. Again, stopping 3 to 4 centimetres from the corner. Okay, so this part can be a little bit difficult and it's even difficult to explain. So what you're going to need to do is pinch the binding at the corner, and this is going to create a little fold, but this allows the binding to be sewn the whole way around without actually having to make any seams. So when you're sewing it down, you're going to continue that seam up right into the corner of the fold, and then you're going to back tack it and start on the next side. So on the next side then you're going to fold that over and you're going to sew it straight down. Okay, so now that you've sewn down to the bottom, you're going to want to cut off the remaining binding, but again leave about 1/2 centimetre so that you can fold this back like you did with the other one. Okay, so at those corners where we've made the tucks, all you have to do is simply fold one over on top of the other and then sew straight across. So now that you've got your quilted case, all you need to do is add your velcro. I chose a stick-on because it's quicker and it's just as effective. So before putting it on, you're going to want to put the Kindle or the tablet inside because this is going to add bulk, so that you want to make sure that the velcro is kind of in the right place while the Kindle's inside. All you simply do then is peel the piece off the back and stick the velcro down. And then you're done. That's it. So I really hope you enjoyed this project. If you did enjoy the video, please hit that like button and subscribe if you want to see more of my videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys!